What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video for the World Cup warm-ups. This one is for Wales versus South Africa. What a matchup this one is one I've enjoyed in the past. We're going to have a run through the teams that have been announced to be playing in the game. We're going to have some thoughts about what we can probably expect from this game, a few stats, and finally a score prediction. If you enjoy this style of video, make sure to drop it a like. And if you enjoy your rugby and you want to be kept up to date with all the latest videos as we go all the way through the World Cup, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's super quick, it's easy, it takes 2 seconds. Just go down and click the button right now. So Wales versus South Africa. As a Wales supporter myself, this is a fixture that I tend to look forward to because it's always a really close game. But more often than not, I feel like South Africa just end up taking this one. So sometimes I don't like seeing this matchup. When I think of this one, I think back to that World Cup semi-final in 2019. The 1 year probably I've ever watched rugby where going into the World Cup, I thought Wales actually had a team that could win the Rugby World Cup, and South Africa pipping them at the post in that 2019 game. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic game, but it's sort of the history of these two sides. They have so many games where it comes down to like one score. I don't know what it is about these two sides, but they normally sort of nullify what the other team does. So you end up having these really tight games. Not always the most spectacle of games and people running in tries. Normally there's a lot of 3-pointers and stuff. Had a quick look at some stats quickly before this one. Now, when I think of this fixture, I tend to think South Africa win more often than not. I don't know why I think that. I had a look back at the stats. The last 10 games between these two sides, South Africa have won 5, Wales have won 5. So pretty on the dot. If you look at the last 5 games, though, South Africa won 4, Wales have won 1. So a little bit different in that stat. And that one win was, of course, was it last year in the Summer Series? It was when Wales went over to South Africa. They played 3 games. South Africa won 2 pretty comfortably. Wales won 1. It was their first ever win over in South Africa. But it was against a bit more of a B team South Africa side compared to Wales' pretty top tier team. And they only just about won it. So I wasn't particularly confident in that game as well. So Wales going into this one have got a lot to improve. Now I'm going to run through the teams a little bit quicker than I normally do because I want to talk about a lot of the sort of action areas I'm expecting to happen in this game. So in the front row, Domachowski, Elliot D and Azarati. This is the sort of front row we saw for the first week of the England game because Ryan Elias got injured so early in that game. Elliot D came on. It was basically this front row for the majority of the game. Scrummaging in that first week against England, not the best. You know, Azarati and Domachowski both on, well, 1 cap now each. You know, still extremely low caps going up against the Springboks scrum. If there's ever a team in World Rugby you probably don't want to be inexperienced against, it might well be the Springboks. Maybe you'd, you know, say something like, or maybe Ireland as well. We really don't want to go up against it. These lads might have a bit of a rough day. In the lineouts then, Ben Carter and Will Rowlands will be taking over in that lock department. Will Rowlands, I thought I had a good game in that first week versus England. He actually didn't give away as many penalties as I expected. I really do think he can be a really good player as long as he doesn't give away those penalties. He just gets his head down. And by not actually hearing his name that much in that first week against England, it normally means he's having a better game, which sounds kind of odd, but normally he's keeping out of trouble. He actually ends up having a bit of a better performance. In the back row, Dan Lydiard at blindside flanker, Jack Morgan at open side as captain again, and Aaron Wainwright in that number 8 shirt. Now, Jack Morgan in that first week versus England, man, what a game. That game for me cemented him in that 7 shirt, you know, and as captaincy as well. They did say they were going to mix up the captaincy for all of these warm-up games. Jack Morgan getting the captaincy again. Maybe Gatland's already found who he wants going ahead and who's going to run this team and who's going to be performing well. I think Jack Morgan's already landed that 7 shirt. Aaron Wainwright at 8, where I do enjoy seeing him play. Had a really good game as well. He was interlinking, helped to get that try for Gareth Davis right in that first England game with that crossfield kick going out to them. I think there's a solid back row there, and certainly probably going to be some boys getting involved in some big tackles in this one. Halfback partnership, Kieran Hardy goes in alongside Dan Biggar. Now, we didn't get to see Kieran Hardy last week, picked up an injury just before kickoff. So Kieran Hardy missing out on that one, had to get replaced right before kickoff. Dan Biggar in the fly half shirt, which you'd expect, right? Bit more experience, went off with the Lions as well when they did South Africa. You know, Wales went out and played South Africa as well. You know, a heavily experienced player to play in that fly half shirt. One of the areas that you really need to be commanding a team from. Have a solid fly half there. I think that's a good move. In the centre partnership, Johnny Williams coming back in. There's a name I feel like I haven't said in a long time. He's going to go in alongside Mason Grady. Now, Johnny Williams is one of those players for me. I really enjoy seeing him play. He's one of the players that commits 100% to every game. Now, with that comes, he normally has really solid games very consistently, but also with it comes, he picks up injuries constantly. It feels like every other game he's ever played for Wales, he picks up some massive injury because he just puts his body on the line. Dedication to the team, dedication to the effort, sometimes can go a bit wrong for him because he commits so hard, he just puts himself in the wrong positions and gets himself injured. I'm really hoping we get to see more of him, throughout the World Cup, and I hope he really gets to stay in this team because I really think he's probably one of the better inside centres that Wales have at the minute. And then in the back row, Rio Dyer goes on the left wing, Alex Cuthbert on the right wing, and Liam Williams at fullback. Now, Liam Williams, I actually thought played well. He was one of the few areas of the Wales game last week that I was like, you know what, I actually think he's been pretty solid for this game. I thought that was absolutely fine. Rio Dyer is all about attack, and the defence is still a little bit questionable. Alex Cuthbert, great with the ball in hand, going forwards. Defence quite questionable. I feel like Gatland is thinking of having a more attacking style Wales compared to what we've seen versus England, where they were much more defensive, absorbing the attack, waiting for them to tire and then play out. I'm a little bit worried, though, about the defensive side of this. South Africa got some incredibly pacey wingers. They're really good at stepping. Two wingers for Wales that aren't really, for me, noticeable in terms of their, big defensive sides. I feel like maybe there's some big opportunities for some tries to go out wide on the wings there, but we'll see how they get on. Quickly, in terms of the replacements, Sam Parry, Nicky Smith and Henry Thomas will be coming on in that front row replacements. Teddy Williams and Tane Basham filling out in the rest of the replacement forwards. Teddy Williams hopefully making his debut in this one. Tane Basham back in the side, which took me by surprise after he failed his HIA versus England. I thought it was like, you're not really allowed to play the next game based on the whole concussion rules and stuff. Apparently he's passed everything since then, so he's allowed to play back in this game. I would, he's going to want to play. He wants to get in that team for the World Cup, but, you don't want to get another big head injury in this one and really put yourself out. And then the replacement backs, Thomas Williams, Max Llewellyn and Kai Evans, hopefully coming on for his debut as well. So for me, on the whole, this is a bit more in line with the Warren Gatland, still experimenting, still thinking about the World Cup thing. Obviously, these teams want to win. They want to get wins. It's top-tier sport, but I don't think the win is as important in this one compared to trying to set their team up going ahead to that World Cup, getting out to that pool stage, maybe being able to win a quarter-final, maybe you find yourself in a semi-final where you might come up against a team like South Africa, and I think that's where you have to think about a whole different kettle of fish. But this one for me, yeah, I don't think this is top-tier Wales. They're still experimenting, still trying some new things, but there's still a lot of areas to improve on from that game versus England last week. Now, moving on to South Africa quickly then. South Africa loaded up with a pretty big team. All right, this is a pretty monstrous team. Of course, South Africa didn't play last week. They played Argentina the week before, got the win there. You guys were super helpful down in the comment section. Let me know about some key events that were going on in that one. I had to miss that game because the Ireland-Italy game was on at the same time. And I feel like a lot of the highlights videos out on YouTube really didn't contain a lot about the games. I didn't know about Lukhanyo Am going off until you guys let me know down in the comment section. So they've still got a pretty beefy team going into this one. They're building up towards that World Cup now. This one for them probably won't be as much of a test as they'll come against a team like Ireland. I would maybe be thinking of this game against Wales as a bit more of like what you can maybe expect from Scotland, but even Scotland in the minute I think are performing at a better standard than Wales. So I'm not really sure what they're going to learn from this game too much, but some areas to exploit for South Africa are certainly here in this one. I've got a feeling this game won't be a close one as we've seen in the past. So starting out in the front row, Stephen Kitchoff, Malcolm Marx and Frans Malherbe. That's a very, very big front row. One of the major concerns for Wales from that last week against England, the scrummaging, the mauling and the lineouts. Putting on a front row like that, I would really be expecting South Africa to just muller the scrum all day long. I really haven't got a lot of confidence in Wales being able to stand up to this South African scrum. We'll see how they get on. And the driving mauls as well. Attacking driving maul from Wales collapsed and shattered and got the ball turned over. The defensive mauls for them, every single one gave away a penalty. So I feel like South Africa will be looking to exploit that an awful lot in this game. In the lock department, John Klein goes in alongside of Snyman. Big, tall lads in that lock department. South Africa definitely feed the lock some sort of radioactive material. I don't know how they're all so massive. Snyman, though, hasn't had a great deal of game time. They've sort of edged him into it a little bit. Injury concerns for South Africa will be a real thing. They've named their World Cup squad. They've already missing people like Andre Pollard, Lukhanyo Am. You don't want other massive injuries, so they'll have to keep players, a little bit safe in this one, but they'll still want to come away with some pretty decent win. And winning in those set-piece areas, I think, is going to be really clinical for them as they lead towards a World Cup against Ireland and Scotland, where the set-piece will become really, really important for them. Getting the win against Wales in those sort of contestable areas, I think, will be a really big motivator motivational boost for them. In the back row, Sia Khaleesi coming back in for South Africa. Really looking forward to seeing him back in. Been out so long with his injury. I don't expect we'll see him all game or even a massive, chunk of the game. I think we'll probably see him for the first half. Bit of game time, get him on. Probably take him off at halftime, make sure he doesn't make any injuries worse. They'll be checking him out in the back room, all sorts of medical tests going on, make sure he's absolutely fit. Just needs some game time in before that World Cup, so you're not going in completely cold. He'll be playing alongside Peter Steph du Toit and Jasper Wiese retaining in that number 8 shirt. Halfback partnership, Hendrikse coming in alongside of Libbok. So this is a nice attacking setup. I think Wales are probably going to have a really tough day in this one. Hendrikse absolutely, ready to go with the ball in hand himself. Libbok, from the games I've seen versus some of the other teams that are maybe not quite to that top tier performance level at the minute. I'm thinking of like Australia in that first week of the Rugby Championship. Marnie Libbok was able to really run that game very, very well for South Africa. I'm really hoping we get to see Libbok again played as, the decision factor maker for South Africa rather than just being, the distributor. I think he actually can play really, really well in this game. In the centre partnership, Damien Dialende goes in alongside of Jesse Creel. So Lukhanyo Am out now with his injury. Jesse Creel coming in. I know a lot of people are still very 50-50 about Jesse Creel. I think he plays better more often than not. I still think maybe Andre Esterhuizen is, still missing out on some of these games. Damien Dialende keeps getting in this 12 shirt, but I really don't feel there's a lot more to know. He's in the squad, right? He's going to be getting there. You know what he's going to perform in the World Cup. I would like to see more of Andre Esterhuizen, especially with a Wales attacking line that maybe is not as big on the defensive side. Having someone with the size of Andre Esterhuizen can be a bit of a nightmare to tackle. I could see him, making a bit more room. And then finally, in the back three, Cheslin Colby, Cannon Moody, and Villy LaRue. So they're still experimenting with these wingers. We've seen it every week now from the Rugby Championship onwards, really. Testing out the different wingers. We had Arendse go in with Colby. We saw Moody in with Mapimpi. Now we've got Colby in with Moody. So they're chopping and changing. They're seeing who they want to work well together. I think that's a nice management style. Both of these lads can cause some real issues as well for that Wales wingers. I think defensively, you can maybe see some tries coming from those boys out on the wing, as well as the forwards going through the big push and drive, as we come to expect from South Africa. In the replacements quickly, then they've gone for the 6-2 split. Mbonambi, Oxenche, nice to see his name back in the side, and Vincent Koch coming back in as well. Now for Mbonambi, the lineouts weren't the best across the Rugby Championship. A lot of people have been saying he should have started this game. I think this is the right move. I think Malcolm Marx is a better all-round, player in terms of your hooker to have on the pitch. Go up against the team where they're maybe not at full strength at the minute. They're still trying to work out their own team. And you get Malcolm Marx to start against them. And then you bring on Mbonambi later on where maybe players a bit more tired, a bit more fatigued. You get him to sort out his line-outs, the driving maul a bit more against a team that's struggling in those areas. Get a real confidence boost can really help towards that World Cup as well. Just pure motivation, mental game in rugby as well, as opposed to just your own talent. I think this is actually a better move to bring him on in that second half. Rest of the replacement forwards, Mostert, Van Staden and Dwayne Vermeulen, 6-2 split. They're going to go through the forwards. There's going to be driving maul tries. There's going to be monster scrums. And it's one of the areas I think it's very, very contestable against Wales at the minute. I think it's the right move for them. I'm not really sure what they'll learn by maybe getting 3 or 4 driving maul tries in this game against a team that's struggling in that area. Maybe they're just going to use it a bit more for practice for when they go up against teams like Ireland and Scotland in the World Cup. But I would like to see them do a bit more than just do that all day. I don't think there's a lot to learn from winning this game 60 points to 5 where every try came through driving mauls. It's like, you're good at driving mauls. You're going up against a team that isn't really doing very well in the driving maul. So hopefully they shift that up a bit. Maybe get 1 or 2 on the board just to be like, we've nailed this. Let's try out some different things. And then finally the replacement backs, Grant Williams and Damien Valemsa to come on, whether in that 10, the 12 or that fullback position. So in terms of a score prediction for this one then, this one for me, I have to say I'm leaning towards South Africa for this one. Wales last week sort of showed off where their weaknesses are, the driving maul, the line out, the scrummaging area. Going into this round of the warm-ups, this is probably the worst fixture that probably could have come up for Wales, because I feel like South Africa are about to double down on all those key areas, because I think all those weaknesses for Wales at the minute are the strengths for South Africa. So I can see South Africa taking this one, and I don't think this will be one of the ones that goes down in history as the close 3-point games. I think this one could be actually a bit of a blowout. I'm going to say South Africa for the win by, I'm going to go quite high. I'm going to say by 18. Now that might seem a bit ridiculous, but I've got a feeling that forward pack is going to be a nightmare all day long for Wales. That's going to be my score prediction for today, guys. Make sure you drop down your thoughts on the teams down in the comment section, who you think is going to win, your own score predictions, and make sure you are getting them up on the Super Brew, because we'll be taking a look at your guys' predictions on Monday. We are going to be doing other preview videos for the rest of the games. I'm filming this on Wednesday because the teams got announced early, so I'll probably put this up Thursday lunchtime, and then there'll probably be other games coming out Thursday afternoon, maybe on Friday, depending on how much time I have to film some of the other games. There is 5 games on the weekend. I want to try and get at least 3 preview videos, and that's sort of my hope for this one. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel to know when all the latest videos go up. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.